Okay, start of the recording.
Appreciate that. Good evening, everyone. My name is Kwame Afray, and I serve as the chair. Excuse me. I serve as the chair for the Land Use Committee for Community Board 17. Today is September 4th. I would like to officially welcome everyone to our first meeting of the year for fiscal year 2025. I officially call this meeting to order. Just on the basis of what we have tried to do to explain the purpose of our committee. Our committee advocates for the responsible planning and development within the district. We provide input on zoning changes, business improvement districts, variances, special permits, and other land use matters in accordance with the New York City Charter. We strive for the balance of preservation of our community's character with the need for thoughtful development that benefits all residents. Our responsibilities also include landmarks, historic preservation, housing issues, budget matters related to HPD, the Department of Buildings, and the Department of City Planning. Tonight is a joint meeting with our committee and the Housing and Block Association Committee, which I recognize Chair Dr. Carol Renaud from the committee tonight. And the purpose of this tonight, I just wanted to color why we have to come collaboratively. When we spoke last in May, we did have an application that was pending that eventually did get executed on. An emergency meeting was held on July 9th to bring visibility to the YELP application for this specific constellation project to the board members at the time, because like we spoke about, if it happened in the summer, depending on when it was certified, we would have X amount of days to respond, to get visibility out there. I did hold an emergency meeting, but unfortunately only board members were allowed to be present for that. Some questions were asked and answered that night. A small list of questions was asked afterwards, but tonight, ultimately, the goal with the collaborative efforts with the Housing and Block Association for this particular project includes them as well. The intent is to highlight the key aspects and form a clear, conclusive opinion of what we feel and how we feel about the project tonight. We will need to vote on this tonight. And the reason for that is that the official date of the notice, like I spoke about, was May 30th. The community board review period runs from August 6th to October 6th, which is why the emergency meeting was necessary. And the application was filed on June 4th and certified on July 17th. Just to give a brief overview, because we have the team here, they were very thorough on the last meeting, and they'll be here to definitely execute and answer a lot of your questions as they come along. We will be dedicating the majority of tonight's meeting on the subject, just to give it as much time as feasibly possible. The YELP application is called a Constellation Project. It is an appropriate name. It is like I think it's 96 buildings or 96 affordable units, and 12 of which will be in our district. I think the building is on 94th Street, 395 and 397 94th Street as a part of a broader Constellation cluster, which is why the name was appropriate. The project will provide 12 affordable housing units, 2 1-bedrooms, 10 2-bedrooms, and under the HPD's open door program. And these homes will be affordable for households earning approximately 7 to 80% of the AMI of the area. Before we jump in, just the key things that I want to include: that it's a permanently affordable ownership program through a community land trust. We've had that discussion internally about the benefits of that. This is that theory being executed, and I don't want to step on what they're going to be explaining later on, but I just wanted to lead with that so that your ears would be attentive to the information that's to come. It does have some sustainable energy systems within it, and it is part of a larger effort across Brooklyn. So, Dr. Renaud, Chair Renaud, do you have anything you want to add before I slide over to the presentation? I will be adjusting the agenda to give the presentation the lead.
Thank you, Chair Afray. Good evening, everyone. Being cognizant of time and the importance of this process and the project, I yield my time to this entire presentation. I do ask though, I had a follow-up question that was pending. My question, my prior question had to deal with the set aside units for the members of our immediate community. So I'm hoping that that will be addressed in the presentation, and I turn the floor back over to you. Thanks to everyone for being here.
Thanks again. At this time, I will yield the floor to the team. The floor is yours.
Thank you. I'll just go ahead and, oh, sorry.
Oh, wait, I do ask that we hold all of our questions to the end of the presentation. Anybody that has any questions, that if you can put it in the chat, if you think that you're not going to remember them, and we will go through all the questions once the presentation is completed. Thank you. Sorry. Floor is yours.
Okay, give me just 1 second while I try to share my screen quickly. Would someone, sorry, I'm having some difficulties. It's prompting me to exit the meeting before I'm allowed to share my screen. So if it's easy for someone on the team to share your screen, that would be helpful. If not, I can just hop off and hop on again. Sorry about
Let me
that.
try to make you a presenter and let's see if that works. Usually it shouldn't be an issue, but just give me 1 second while I do that.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Sorry about that.
All right, I made you a presenter. Try again. And if that doesn't work, I think you do need to sign out and sign back in.
Okay, let me try that. It's still making me exit and log back in, so I can try to do that quickly.
I can also share. I have it pulled up. I can share if I don't run into the same issue. Is my screen visible?
Awesome, thank you.
It is.
Okay. Let's see. All right. So good evening, everyone. My name is Sophia Matheny, and I am a Brooklyn Borough Planner for the Department of Housing and Development. Thanks for the opportunity to be with you all tonight, presenting the this home ownership project. So we're here for our ULERP hearing and to hear your feedback on the Constellation project, which certified on July 28th, 2025. So today I'm here with Rick Fudge and Matt Dunbar from Habitat for Humanity, NYC in Westchester, as well as Norman Cox from Union Street Studio Architects, John Edward Dallas from Interborough CLT, Amara Hernandez, and Jacob Colbath from HPD as well. Next slide, please. So the proposed Constellation Cluster project is made up of 8 scattered sites, currently on vacant, underutilized city-owned lots across 4 Brooklyn community boards. So for CB17 specifically, the project proposes the construction of 1 new building in East Flatbush with approximately 12 affordable home ownership units, consisting of a mix of 1 and 2 bedroom units. So this application is one of 4 land use applications for the Constellation cluster that are moving forward concurrently across community boards 3, 5, 16, and 17. The requested project approvals through ULERP include an urban development action area designation, project approval, and disposition of 2 city-owned lots. And as previously mentioned, we certified this project on July 28th. So now I'll pass it over to Habitat for more details on the development team and project specifications.
Great, thank you so much. My name is Matt Dunbar. I'm the Chief of Staff and Executive Vice President with Habitat for Humanity, New York City and Westchester County. We are the lead developer selected for this project, and we have a 40-year history building affordable home ownership and preserving affordable home ownership and advocating for affordable home ownership in the 5 boroughs of New York City. And that legacy includes over around 250 new home ownership units in central Brooklyn, predominantly located in community boards 3, 16, and 17. So we are excited for this opportunity to continue to build on that legacy of home building and affordable home ownership in the community, especially as the chair mentioned, permanently affordable home ownership that will last for generations and be both a family and household asset as well as a community asset for generations to come. So we're joined by Norman from Union Street Studio, which like Habitat also has a 40-year history of building, designing and building in the city, including a long history of building quality, affordable housing in partnership with HPD and nonprofits like Habitat. And third, of course, we have John Edward Dallas from Interborough Community Land Trust, of which Habitat is privileged to be a partner and a co-founder of, that exists to help develop and preserve affordable home ownership across the 5 boroughs. And so, you know, in order to prioritize this aspect of the project, I want to pass it over to John Edward to talk a little bit more about Interborough CLT and the value of having these various buildings be located on the community land. Take it away, John Edward.
Okay. Thank you, Matt. Can you hear me? Can everyone hear me? Okay, good. I'm always afraid.
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you for that, Matt. And good evening to everyone, HPD, Norman Cox, Habitat, and of course, the members of Community Board 17. It's really great being with you again tonight. And just a little briefly, because I've been here before, just a little background on Interborough. We're the first, and to date, we're the only citywide CLT in New York City. We are a partnership of 4 organizations, one of which is Habitat for Humanity, New York City and Westchester County. And one of the ways in which we obtain projects for our pipeline is through not-for-profit development partners like Habitat. And so thanks to Habitat, in addition to Constellation, we have about 475 permanently affordable units in our pipeline, and that's spread across 3 boroughs, Brooklyn, Queens, and the Bronx, and that makes us the largest single contributor to the permanently affordable home pipeline in New York City that's being financed with HPD. A little bit more about Interborough. We help New Yorkers overcome barriers to home ownership, and we steward permanently affordable housing in New York City. And while in this case, the homeowners will own their building, we use a split ownership structure. Interborough will maintain ownership of the land underneath the co-op buildings. And the reason for that is to make sure that the co-ops never go market rate. But there are other benefits to that split ownership relationship. And so some of the community benefits are lasting affordability. Interborough maintains the affordability. Will make sure that the co-ops maintain their affordability to lower income households at each resale, making homeownership available to family after family across generations. Another of the community benefits to the split ownership structure or the project going on the CLT is that it leads to a maximization of affordable housing resources. So we're there also to steward the public resources that have been invested in this project. And there are a couple of them. There's the land, it's city land. There's also a 40-year tax exemption, and I'm assuming that many of the unit owners will get public assistance in the form of down payment. They'll go through the city's Home First down payment assistance program. So we're here to make sure that the public investment in the project is maintained across generations, and that they benefit, again, the community for generations. And then another benefit to having these permanently affordable homes on the CLT is neighborhood stability. We make sure that the housing is shielded from the speculative market and protected from gentrification. And then there's studies that have shown, there's a lot of them, that foreclosure rates on CLTs are lower than among homeowners on non-CLTs in similar neighborhoods. So those are some of the community benefits. And then quickly, briefly, because there's more presenters, of course. The individual benefits to having the project on a CLT are that we're expanding home ownership. Families and households that would otherwise not be able to purchase co-op units are able to purchase co-op units through this project. So we're expanding this opportunity to more folks than would otherwise be, have this opportunity. And then the stability and financial empowerment. The households that purchase into Constellation, will build assets and benefit from the stability of affordable housing. As you know, one of the biggest problems we have in New York City is displacement through gentrification. That won't happen with the homeowners on Constellation. And then finally, but by certainly, not least importance, democracy in action. Residents will have the ability to control their housing destiny. The shareholders in Constellation will not only be able to be on the board of Constellation, but they also have the opportunity to run for the Interborough board. They'll have 4 seats. Homeowners across the CLT will be able to elect 4 directors, and so they will have a direct say in the governance and operations of Interborough, which is a citywide CLT. And that's my presentation, and I'll be glad to answer any questions you might have afterwards. And I believe, Rick, do you go next? Are you next here, Rick?
You can hand it
Okay.
back to Matt.
Oh, okay, Matt.
I'm going to keep going.
Okay, Matt.
Thanks, John Edward.
You're welcome.
All right, let's go next slide. So as you very well described, Chair, this project is a second part to a larger development that will result in over 140 units, around 140 units of affordable home ownership throughout 5 community boards. So the lots that are included in Constellation are a number of the lots that were awarded to Habitat for Humanity, I think around 2017, 2018, through the new infill home ownership program, which has been replaced since by the Open Door program, which is the program that this project will be funded under now. But we received 2 different clusters. And so over the number of years, as we were trying to be thoughtful about how the best way to develop this project and all of these lots would be, it ended up being divided into 2 different developments. The Mosaic development, which is 13 scattered site infill lots that are all smaller and went through the UDAP process. And so those lots are already under construction, and those will result in 42 scattered site cooperative units that will be on the CLT. And then the second part, which is the Constellation, which is 8 sites, 16 lots to 8 sites that will develop into 96 affordable homeownership units. Both of these, as the names suggest, are scattered small pieces that are come together to create a beautiful whole in one sense. Artwork under Mosaic and the other Sense constellation. So we're excited about this. As was mentioned already, the constellation development will be located in Community Boards 3, 5, 16, and 17. And I also just want to mention, as part of our work, we partner with our homeowners as they are selected, and we work with them. Habitat is often known for our volunteer model and our sweat equity model of homeownership. Because of the nature of this development, there won't be as much volunteer work or sweat equity in the construction, because we can't have volunteers on these types of construction sites. But we do partner with our home buyers to do a lot of training leading up to them becoming homeowners. So in addition to first-time homebuyer training, they also go through a curriculum that we've designed over the years based off of our expertise and our technical assistance through housing preservation work and post-purchase work to help train the homeowners around how does a co-op board work? How do you budget and own and steward a multi-million-dollar asset which you are collectively owning together? Civic education around how can they come to you all as the community board, their elected officials, to help be an agent of change once they become homeowners in their community. So that's all part of the training that our homeowners get when they become, before they purchase their unit. So let's move to the next slide. So because of the large-scale scattered site nature of this project and the proceeding and under construction Mosaic project, it's a huge geography in which these projects are being built. And so Habitat prides itself on connecting with the community. We have a long history in Central Brooklyn, partnering with faith communities and civic organizations and community board and elected officials in developing all of the homes that we've built over the last 25 years in Brooklyn. But this particular project and its partner project create a unique challenge where the community engagement is so in such a large geography that we wanted to come up with a way to be able to keep stakeholders engaged and informed, and to help continue to inform our work and keep us accountable to our goals throughout the course of this project. So we are creating a community advisory board that will hopefully contain stakeholders and leaders that are interested in making sure that this project is successful from all different communities across this development. So we're looking for folks that would be able to partner with us on achieving a few different goals. First and foremost is helping build our our bid list for a general contractor, which we have not yet bid out or selected, a list to help that general contractor, and as we select subcontractors for these developments, we're looking for local and MWBE contractors to be on this list, as well as vendors, so that when we're supplying materials, if we can have vendors that are local to the community to be able to get the materials that are being used to build these developments, that list is robust as well. So first and foremost, that's what we're seeking, folks that have some expertise. So whether or not you join the community advisory board, but if you have people that you can send us to add to those lists, we would be grateful for that. Then throughout the course of construction leading up to the marketing period, we want to connect with as many local groups and community groups and individuals as possible, so that people know that this project is coming, that there's going to be an opportunity to apply for affordable home ownership in the community, and so that we can build our list of people that can be notified when the marketing window opens, but that also we can connect people with local first-time homebuyer resources, so that they can get their finances in order. They have credit issues, they can clean it up, they can get the training for first-time homebuyer, and they can be ready to apply and are more likely to then qualify for the homes. The chair mentioned and asked about the community preference. There is not a set aside for community members, but there is a community preference in alignment with HPD's marketing guidelines post settlement around the community preference legal litigation that occurred. And so depending on when we were able to get in the ground and to complete this, it will either be the 20% preference, which is what it was currently in place. I believe it's after 2028 or around 2028 when that preference goes down to 15%. So if we can get in the ground and build these units and go to marketing, then we would be able to reach and market it under the 20% preference. And then finally, when we get to marketing, we want to make sure we're partnering with the community so that we get the word out that the marketing window is open, that we can hold info sessions, get as many people as possible to hear about the opportunity and to apply. And so throughout this whole process, we want to be continuing to do community engagement. So we're looking for recommendations of organizations or individuals that you think would be good to join the community advisory board. If there's anybody on the committee or in the community board that would like to join, we would love to connect with you and add you to our list. And we've already started having some stakeholder meetings in the community, and we are also putting resources behind this. We have a fellow from the Association for Neighborhood and Housing Developers that is actually joining us next week, whose sole focus for her year of service, and she's living in Brooklyn, her sole focus is to help guide and to support in capacity the Community Advisory Board in Central Brooklyn and for other development up in the Bronx. So please stay in touch with us and send folks our way to participate in that community engagement effort. And I'm going to pass it over to Rick, who will be able to dig in a little bit more deeply into the site.
Thanks, Matt. All right, so some more project-specific information. So the site 395, 397 East 94th Street, it's located in an R6 zoning district. It's located about a half mile to the Saratoga Ave stop on the 3 train, and it's about 500 feet to the Kings Highway East 94th Street stop on the B7, and within a few blocks of the B47, B15, and B8, B35 bus lines. The Constellation buildings will be designed to comply with Enterprise Green Communities. They'll feature high-performance windows and insulation, as well as a tight building envelope. The buildings will be solar ready, and since we last spoke, we've actually completed a preliminary solar feasibility analysis, and it appears that the building in this community district should be a good candidate for solar panels. So more to come on that, hopefully. The overall goal here is to reduce operating costs for the homeowners while improving their environmental sustainability. The design also prioritizes indoor air quality and thermal comfort. So they will be fully electric, no combustion inside or out, and they'll have highly efficient appliances and building systems. This will include a VRF system for heating and cooling, which will be controlled by the individual's residents within their units rather than controlled building-wide. And there will also be ERVs for reclaiming waste heat and regulating humidity. Like Matt mentioned, we'll be specifying locally sourced materials vendors wherever possible, especially with low environmental footprints. So if you have any recommendations, please send them our way. And lastly, amenities will include in-unit washers and dryers, a landscape backyard accessible to all building residents, an elevator, and indoor bicycle storage. The site is located in City Council District 41 on block 4669, lots 22 and 23. As the chair mentioned, it'll be a 6-story building, about 11,736 square feet with 12 affordable homeownership units, including 2 one-bedroom units and 10 two-bedroom units. Unit sizes will range from approximately 603 square feet to 718 square feet. And the lots are currently vacant and owned by the city, located in R6 zoning district, as I mentioned. And now I'll turn it back to HPD.
Thank you. So the proposed project will be developed through HPD's Open Door program, which supports affordable home ownership. These units will only be made available to first-time home buyers. There is a down payment assistance program as well that's available through HPD called the Home First Down Payment Assistance Program. And with this, qualified first-time home buyers could earn up to $100,000 towards the down payment or closing costs. So under the Open Door term sheet, affordability typically ranges from about 80% to 130% of the AMI. But for this project, all units will be made affordable to households earning between 70% and 80% of the AMI. So affordability will be preserved long-term through a 40-year Article 11 tax exemption, which is aligned with a 40-year regulatory period. And at closing, all of the units will be bound by a regulatory agreement that sets both the affordability levels and the duration. And when the time comes, all of the units will be made available to the public through HPD's Housing Connect 2.0 platform. And then I just wanted to highlight the chart here at the bottom, the proposed unit mix and affordability chart for development site 1 here in CB17. So about 17% of the units will be 1 bedroom and 83% of the units will be 2 bedrooms. The sales price for the units ranges from about $164,000 to about $205,000, depending on the unit size. And then the minimum qualifying incomes range from about $85,000 to about $102,000, again, depending on the unit size. And the maximum qualifying incomes will range from about $97,000 to about $117,000. And then on the right, we also have some figures highlighting the average monthly mortgage costs. So for 1 bedroom units, the average monthly mortgage is about $1,079. And then for the 2 bedroom units, the average monthly mortgage will be about $1,312. Next slide, please. So here we have the proposed unit mix and affordability chart for the entire Constellation cluster. So in this chart, we can see that about 74% of the units in the cluster are family sized at 2 and 3 bedrooms. The sales price for the entire cluster will range from about $164,000 to about $225,000, again, depending on unit size. And then the minimum qualifying incomes for 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units ranges from about $85,000 to about $118,000. And the max qualifying incomes will range from about $97,000 to about $135,000. And then just to point to the average monthly mortgage fees. So for 1 bedrooms, the average mortgage will be about $1,222. For 2 bedroom units, it'll be about $1,302. And then for 3 bedrooms, the average monthly mortgage is about $1,337. And so, as we mentioned previously, we had a pre-ULERT briefing with CB17 on July 9th, and we just wanted to ensure that in this follow-up presentation, we were able to bring some more awareness to a couple of main topics that were discussed last time, namely pathways to equity building, and then the need for some more clarification on the co-op and CLT structures. Next slide, please. And so to wrap up, here's a look ahead to our key ULERT milestones. So after this ULERT hearing with the Land Use Committee, we're planning on attending the full board meeting for the final vote on September 17th. And then from there, we'll move through the formal review process, which is 30 days with the borough president. And we're anticipating a hearing in mid-October, and then 60 days with the Planning Commission, and then 50 days with the City Council. And then if all stays on track, we're anticipating a ULERP approval by spring of 2026. So thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to continuing our collaboration with you all as we move through this process. And that concludes our presentation, and we'll be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. In the interest of keeping this orderly, anybody who has interest in asking any questions, please raise your hand. If you don't have the ability to do so, and you do have the ability to chat, you can put the question in the chat and we'll get that answered as well. I'll answer the questions as I see them come in, or I'll acknowledge the hands as I see the hands being raised. And all right, any questions, anyone? Let's start with Noreen George. You're acknowledged. Noreen. Okay. Yeah. Yes, Noreen, you're acknowledged. And maybe Maybe can't unmute themselves. Anybody interested in asking any questions pertaining to the topic? Oh, there's something in the chat. There's a question. They're asking if it's in R6 zoning. What about the project requires a URL? I guess that's question number one. If it's
Yeah,
zoned
so the project
R6,
requires,
yeah, okay.
yeah. So the sites are as of right, which means that they can be developed with the zoning that exists. This one is R6. It requires a ULURP because we're disposing of city-owned land with giving it to the developer to build affordable housing.
Okay. Ms. Biglianti?
Yeah, what is on that site now? Is that a park there?
The site's currently vacant. It's
What?
the site is currently vacant. It's not a park. It's just unused vacant land.
Oh, there's nothing on it at all?
Currently, there is
Like
not.
okay.
Okay. Lana?
Yes, hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. So I'm just curious, how does the development of this unit impact the current residents of the block? And are they aware of the potential development of this unit?
We have begun reaching out to the adjacent neighbors in pursuit of access agreements. We'll need to put up site protections and so on during construction. So we reach out ahead of time to notify the neighbors, but then also to get permissions to put up these kinds of site protections. I don't think that there's been any kind of notification of the entire block. Sorry, I
Yeah,
accidentally muted
that's
myself.
That's what I was referencing. I noticed when buildings go up in neighborhoods, certain neighborhoods, there isn't large wide notification of residents outside of like site protection. Like, are they aware that there's now going to be this large 6-story building potentially blocking sunlight that they may have been getting, regardless of whether it was an open lot? And just general courtesy and respect to notify residents that their structure of their block is now going to be changing.
I don't know that we have like a block-wide plan necessarily, but that's something to take into advisement. It's a good comment. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that input. We will definitely loop with our new community engagement fellow, and we'll incorporate that as feedback in the community advisory board for potential outreach.
And just to also, note that like part of the goal of the ULURP process is to have this like public review period. So, there's this meeting, we're here to answer questions. And then we also have other steps where, folks, which will be publicly available, where folks can also provide input and feedback on the project. And then in regards to the sunlight concern, this project went through an environmental review process. And there were no environmental impacts related to the height of the building on the adjacent properties.
Got it. Okay, thank you all.
Thank you. I guess Noreen's having some volume issues. The question was asked if you could clarify the Constellation and Mosaic sites. I guess there's some confusion about it. If you just run that back about what they are, what they represent.
Sure. Yeah. So if you want to, we can move the slides all the way back to that that one that shows the entirety of the two developments. So the Mosaic development is a series of 13 infill lots, and I don't believe any of them are in CB17. But they're the smaller sites, so generally 2 to 3 units. And Norman and Rick can correct me if I'm wrong about the unit size, but generally I think they're 2 to 3 units large. And so they're smaller and they're scattered across 3 community boards. And those went through urban development area action plan disposition. So they didn't have the same kind of ULURP disposition. So those have started construction and have received the financing and are underway. And then the lots in Constellation are 8 development sites of each one being about two lots. And so these are the larger of the clusters, the 2 clusters that we received are awarded. And so these are the sites that are larger and need to go through ULURP and this whole process. So that's the big difference, is really size. And so the first cluster, the Mosaic cluster, is 13 sites for 42 scattered units, and the Constellation is 8 sites for 96 scattered site co-op units.
Thank you. Naushin, your hand is raised. Is that right?
Yeah, Notion. It's me, the Assistant District Manager for Community Board 18. I just have a quick question. It's in regards to the AMI. I'm not sure if anyone was able to get around to it, but I want to thank you so much for giving the presentation, for taking time out of your schedule to speak to our community board. I had a question about the AMI from the slides that I'm seeing. Sorry, I'm on the bus right now. That all the units are considered affordable, even though that they are approximately 70% to 80% AMI, which is not representative of the income of our neighborhood. So I would like to know where this AMI, is it state, is it city, where is this coming from? And also, is this really attainable for our district in particular? Because I don't think members of our community will be actually able to qualify for these apartments. Seeing the minimum qualifying income is 85,000 for 1 bedroom, and 2 bedroom is almost 100,000. I would love to know where these figures came from and how this is going to benefit our community and the residents of our neighborhood.
Well, I could first just chime in about the open door program. So HPD has a variety of different programs that are tailored for different AMIs. And the AMI is not necessarily related to the income of an area, which is the misconception of it, but it's tied to the federally mandated minimums that are tailored to the amount of subsidy that's given to a project. So for home ownership, the AMIs are more than some of our other programs like ELA or NCP for rentals. The AMIs for home ownership are typically 80% to 130% AMI. So the goal with this project, with the collaboration with Habitat, was to make it more affordable by having it at 70% AMI. We understand that it may not reach everyone in the community, but to note, like, these can be combined household incomes, and there are other resources available to assist people in getting into these homes. But I could also share more information about our HPD programs and term sheets if that is also helpful.
Thank you so much for your response. I really appreciate you taking time. I would appreciate some future oversight on our end so that we make sure that members of our community are actually getting into these apartments.
Yeah, and to follow up on that, it was mentioned a little bit earlier about the community set-asides. So I spoke to my colleague in our office at Habitat who deals with like the home buyer side of things, or more on the development side of things. And she said that typically the majority of the home buyers in our projects are actually from the neighborhoods. And she said it's like a logical thing that they want to live where they're working, where they have their families and their friends and their communities, their jobs, and that it's relatively less common than you might think that people are buying in from like across the city, say, that the majority of our home buyers actually tend to be from fairly nearby. While keeping in mind that it is going through the housing lottery. So while we can't guarantee that, in actual practice, it has actually been most of our home buyers.
Yes, and And I would just add, as far as the AMIs go, the majority of the Habitat homes that we've built in Central Brooklyn have been in the 60 to 80% range in our history. And part of that also, as we think about housing and the fact that these residents are going to own the asset, and so being that there are no ongoing operational subsidies for the buildings, the AMIs are also set to ensure that our families are set up for financial success moving forward, because they are going to be responsible for, paying and having capital reserves and operating reserves and maintaining and upkeeping the building together themselves. So, the maintenance of the building as well as the mortgage. So that's why we want to make sure that we are setting people up for success, because this is, they're going to be having a down payment, they're going to be having mortgage, they're going to be paying down that mortgage. And so if they do run into distress, financially, then that can have an effect on the entire building. And so that's why we also provide technical assistance and support both through the CLT and through our housing preservation and technical assistance and monitoring work to partner with those families to make sure that they're successful moving forward as well.
Thank you. Adele Bennett, you're acknowledged.
Oh, yes. Good evening. What I wanted to find out is Ms. Newell mentioned about the AMI. Why is it so high? Especially if you're expecting people in this community, even though it's a small a small amount, to apply. And I've been in that area, and I'm on the Parks Committee, and that land originally it's an unlisted park. It's a very old park. It was a sitting park. Because I've been there. And essentially the city sold it off. They said you're going to have sell it to developers. Who are these developers? I'd like to know who are the developers. Thank you.
So it was a little bit muffled, but if I gathered what you said correctly, was that the site is an unlisted park. We will look into that. From our knowledge, it is a vacant lot owned by the city that's not being used as a park. So, we will thank you for letting us know that. In regards to the AMI, that was where it was a little bit muffled, but I heard loud and clear that it is, too high. And then I see in the chat, someone noting about an annual income of someone working at Target. Definitely understood this program, Open Door for, cooperative homeownership is tailored towards, low to middle income households. But we do have other housing that is tailored for lower income folks. But we do hear you and thank you for your feedback.
And we are the developer that is taking temporary ownership of the land for the development. So by we, I mean Habitat for Humanity, New York City and Westchester. We are a non-for-profit affordable housing developer, and so we are the designated developer that will be taking ownership of the land, but solely during the construction process. Because at the end of the day, the land will then be transferred to Interborough Community Land Trust, another not-for-profit that is here, that presented earlier. That will be the owner and steward of the land, but the residents will own the building afterwards. So that's the key to this homeownership model, is that it will be owned by the residents themselves. There will be no landlord at the end of the day that owns the properties, and there will be no rent. It will be cooperative, common charges, mortgage, but the building is owned by the residents.
Thank you. Allison Martinez, you're acknowledged.
We're getting is to unmute. I just wanted to ask just a couple of questions around the supportive services after the fact. Is succession planning or estate planning going to be part of some of the capacity building that you provide the board? A lot of the work we're seeing within, like, especially properties in the community that are affected by the tax lien sale. We notice a lot of it is really people having no idea about like how to manage deed transfers or passing properties on to heirs. So it's really important that that be part of the package of services that they receive.
Yeah, that's.
And
Oh, yeah.
go ahead, sorry.
Go ahead. Yeah. Oh, sure. Yeah, just to answer that, and then if you wanted to do the follow-up, as far as our pre-purchase curriculum, I would have to double check with our housing services department to see if estate planning is a part of that. Usually, our home buyers are more focused on getting over the finish line to get the asset, but post-purchase technical assistance, where we are, the way that the regulatory agreements are structured now on these limited equity cooperatives that are supported by the city, is that the regulatory agreement requires that there be a not-for-profit monitor, qualified monitor that is a partner with the co-op board as well. So we are that monitor, at least for the first 3 years, and then they can choose a different monitor if they like. But we are there to help support them in budgeting, in managing their manager and things, and elections, making sure that they're holding the elections for the co-op. And there have been times where homeowners or shareholders have reached out to us asking these kinds of questions, and we provide that technical assistance to them. But I take note of it, and John Edward from Interborough, that's also something that we might want to periodically build into all of our Interborough residents in the future. Is, there's opportunities for ongoing stewardship and education, and that could be a very good webinar or module that we might be able to add in our partnership and ongoing. John Edward, if you want to speak to that. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's something that we've already thought about, and we already have that, on our radar. We in fact, we already have a partner. We had thought about working with the Black Homeownership Project to give a trust in estates, training for the shareholders. So that's something that we definitely have thought about, because it does come up a lot.
The other question I wanted to ask is the marketing being done in-house by Interborough, or are you hiring out to do the marketing piece once that time comes?
Interborough has no role whatsoever with the marketing. The marketing goes through the New York City Housing Connects. I believe that, all the units go through the housing lottery. And so there is and I think, Matt, you could speak more to that. There is a marketing agent.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Correct. Yeah, there's a qualified marketing agent list that is governed by HPD through I think it's an RFP or an RFI. And so I think, Rick, I'm not sure if you have the name of the qualified marketing agent that's currently selected, or if that's part of one of the vendors that we'll be looking to connect with during our outreach.
But one of the goals of the groups, of the advisory groups that Habitat is going to be put together, they're going to be working with folks in the community to get the word out about the units. I mean, so that's key, so that increases the possibility. The more applications you have from folks in the community, the greater the chances that they will be selected, through the lottery. And then part of that outreach is to make sure that residents are prepared in terms of the documents and the qualifications for the lottery. So that means partnering with groups in the community that can give sort of a primer on home buyer education, so that folks know that, right, I have to have, a year's worth of, let's say, bank statements ready. I have to have tax returns for the past 3 years ready. So that's why Habitat's going to form a work group with folks in the community, so they can get that word out and help people be prepared, so that if they're selected for the lottery, they're ready. They have the documents ready, because there's a limited window in which, once you're selected, to be able to submit the documents. So the key here is partnership with the community, and partnership with groups like you. You're an attorney, and so you might be someone we might turn to do a workshop on putting together the documents, Allison. Yeah, we could use your help with this.
Well, So I just want to also clarify, like when we hire a qualified marketing agent, you know, and partner with one to do, like, it's all part of an approved marketing plan that goes through and is reviewed by HPD in advance. And so, and it does include info sessions during that window, both at the beginning and the end, and potentially in the middle. And as John Edward said, like the community advisory board is going to be like really instrumental in helping us to plan how we do that outreach, because we don't just leave it to the marketing agent and say,
Right.
you're our marketing agent, print it in these outlets, and then we'll go along our merry way. We really do want to identify the best way to get the word out as far as wide during that period of time, and we partner with them.
And it does make a difference. I think Rick had mentioned earlier, we have 15 homes for another project with Habitat. And I would say that about 15, I would say that maybe 80% of the folks that were selected through the lottery from those homes are folks from right from that community. It's really interesting how that happened. And so that could very well be the case here as well.
I would say we will hope for that, but we haven't seen that thus far in some of the projects that have come online here. But I'm wondering, just that actually goes into my last question, which is I'm wondering if this project is like a phase one, and then if that's the case, what is Interboro and Habitat's plan going forward for the other properties that or lots that may be activated over time, especially since we know the average income in East Flatbush is about $68,000. So maybe the Mosaic properties, which tend to be smaller, it seems, and more like scattered lot 2 to 3 units, may be able to accommodate the lived salaries of most people in the community. Just waiting to see what that looks like long term.
Yeah, long term, I mean, continued advocacy towards you know, city and state property, you know, to be, you know, utilized for affordable housing and specifically affordable home ownership is always welcome. These lots went through the RFP process, is how we kind of gained access to them. So right now, we don't have another project currently in the pipeline in Central Brooklyn, but we would love to see more RFPs go out for those lots. And that actually, just on the economic side, I will say that smaller sites, especially sites that are scattered, actually are not generally usually more affordable. They're usually more expensive, because these projects, as being scattered site projects, you have 13 sites, which means you have 13 environmentals, you have 13 design plans for the uniquenesses of each site, and you have a less scale, you know, per site. So which is one of the reasons I think why most large scale developments end up being rental developments, and that is partly due to the economics. And so the larger projects historically have been rental, and you know, some of the smaller sites have been affordable home ownership. So as of right now, this is the second phase of this 2-phase project, Mosaic and Constellation, and we don't necessarily have anything yet in the pipeline, but you know, if HPD RFPs it, we would definitely pursue it.
And just to follow up with a question earlier about the marketing agent, we've been using Neighborhood Restore recently, but that's something that we revisit with each project. So if there are other suggestions, we're welcome to take them in.
And I just want to piggyback on that one of the reasons why the CLT is brought into this is not only to guarantee or ensure the permanent affordability of the projects, but it's also to provide a common ground for the scattered site co-ops, right? I mean, they're going to be there's a bit of distance separating them, not a lot, but a bit there. And the thinking is that the CLT would be able to bring a unity to the scattered site co-op, not only because they're on top of the CLT, but we're there actively. We have an organization with a full-time staffer, and there'll be more, to be able to bring the shareholders and the buildings together. So we're there also to be the underarching unifying factor, for the buildings. That's also the thinking behind the CLT.
Okay. You good, Allison?
Yes, thank you.
Excellent. I'll yield before I go back just to there was a question in the chat that I just want to toss out there. There was a question asking about how to qualify for mortgage assistance, like guess what some of the requirements would be. I think we had a flyer. I don't know if that information was on there, but if anybody can answer that question before I go back to the things, it'd be appreciated. If not, I'll try to get that flyer shared with the individual. Anybody have any insight? No?
You mean for
Yeah,
the
so
down
Tiffany,
payment
I don't know
opposed?
if you want to.
I'm sorry, we were all going
Everyone's
to jump
jumping
in.
at
Go right
once.
ahead.
We have so much to say. Yeah, so there's a few different programs. So HPD mentioned the Home First program. I'll leave it to them to describe that one. But a lot of the Habitat home buyers also use programs through the state of New York's mortgage agency, Sony May, including their various mortgage products like Achieving the Dream, which offer below market interest rates, as well as down payment assistance loans and other various programs. So the kind of the guiding factor for those is income. So if a family is eligible for these units by their income, then they would also qualify for these Sony May programs typically. There can be other things like the condition of the building, but as these will be new construction, that's not a concern. So that's the main one. And then for HPD Home First, I'm not sure if there are additional qualifiers there.
Well, someone put in the chat NHS, and that's exactly right. There are a number of housing counseling agencies that participate in the project, so that yes, you would have to complete an application with one of those agencies that's qualified by HPD, and they would walk the person through the process of what documents they submit. They would make sure that they qualify in terms of income. So that's so I'm glad someone put that in there. Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Right.
Yeah,
Ms.
we can
Viglianti?
the
Oh,
more
sorry.
of like just to say it's a quite like just to say it's there's a lot of requirements, not difficult necessarily, but just there's a lot of bullets to that. So we will provide follow-up information about it just so everything's clear.
Ms.
Can I
Viglianti?
go? Yes, thanks.
Yes.
Hi. Yeah, so I have one clarification question and then another question. So who owns the land? Is it the land trust that own the community land trust will then own the land once it's all up and running?
Correct. Yeah.
That's correct. Yep.
After
Okay.
the construction. So during construction, we'll create an HDFC and it'll be owned by as a development site by Habitat. And then after construction completion, the land goes to the CLT and the improvements, the buildings go to the homeowners.
Homeowners. Okay. So then my other question is, this is more structural than homeowners and people related. We have so many buildings going up all over Brooklyn that are just really ugly. And optimally, it would be great if this building could be in scope with the rest of the block, which would be only about 4 stories. I know that's impossible, but can we make sure, like, who is designing the building? Is it going to fit into the structure? I mean, into the, the way the other buildings look, or is it going to be one of these really ugly new buildings with no landscaping in front, and it just looks like it's like a Bauhaus structure or something? So is there going to be, like, can we have any say in that? And what the building looks like for the facade?
Maybe I
Is
can
Norman on
speak
the
to
call?
that.
Yeah, there.
Yeah, maybe I can speak to that. My name's Norman Cox. I'm the architect for the project. We will certainly do our best to make the building a friendly neighbor to the context and to the other buildings that are already around. We try to do that by choosing materials that are similar to other buildings in the neighborhood, like using brick. We don't want to use large expanses of glass so that it doesn't look like an office building, things like that. The front yard will be landscaped. So we do have that in mind. And we are certainly open to response. We hope to get some kind of constructive response from community groups during our outreach meetings. So
So you'll be showing us like designs and things like that?
well, there's a design already in the package that we've presented, which
Yeah, but that
represents
sort of doesn't, I'm sorry, but that, yeah, it just sort of looks, you can't really tell what color it is, or
well,
it's kind of
the
hard.
color.
I can see the basic structure of it, but the coloring and all that.
The
I mean, are
color
those
will
the
be,
colors?
yeah, that's the intended colors. The intended color is a warm brick on the lower portion of the building, and then a lighter colored brick on the upper portion. There'll be a combination of a variety of materials such as cast stone, brick. The windows would be aluminum, and at the top of the building would be that a cornice-like element. Um, as I said before, we do intend that the building fit comfortably into the neighborhood. We would not want to create something there that was an eyesore. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that's what I'm concerned about.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Bakradine, you're acknowledged.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for hosting and bringing this information for us. I do have a question as it pertains to, so we mentioned environment and we talked about design concepts. What is the plan for the environment? Meaning, what is the plan for infrastructure for the space? Will that be part of the conversation when you come back with the design?
Could you provide a little bit more details on what you mean by infrastructure? Do you mean like the infrastructure of the surrounding community that is
So
all to the building, or just so
in
we can...
general, so the building currently it's a vacant lot, city-owned vacant lot. Whether it was a park or not, it was still a vacant lot, meaning there's no infrastructure, sewage and piping and all of the things that are currently a blight and an issue as we speak in surrounding communities in Community Board 17, specifically because in certain areas we have sinking housing. In other places, we have errant holes that arrive that are created in the street, and we've had brownouts recently. So that's the sort of infrastructure I'm referring to. I've been looking at your documentation and your paperwork, because with the vacant lot now being utilized for 12 family unit, what does that mean as it pertains to support of the sewage, of infrastructure in the surrounding, on the block and in general, if we're now going to add 12 additional units to what is now essentially a vacant lot?
So I could just provide probably a very basic
Sure.
and non-specific answer, and then I can maybe pass it off to the development team to talk a little bit about the specifics of how the building might connect to that infrastructure. But generally, their main lines that you're speaking about that seem to be overburdened and failing in some different ways. Which, thank you for bringing that to our attention. Our agency facilitates housing, so we are not necessarily the folks that work on those infrastructure things, but we do communicate with those agencies, and we can share any specific things that you're referring to.
Sure.
In regards to the environmental impacts of that infrastructure, I had shared in the chat a link to the ULERP application and the public documents that are associated with it. There's an environmental assessment that goes into those various factors, and this building specifically with the 12 units shouldn't overburden the infrastructure in the area. But we live in New York City, so we know that the infrastructure
It's
has
already,
issues.
yeah.
So those specific issues are usually issues that need to be dealt with by the agency that handles it. So that's why I'm saying, if there's anything like specific that me and the other folks at HPD can take and then pass along to the agency, 311 also, but generally, you know, we are also a resource if you want to pass that along. But this development specifically shouldn't overburden the infrastructure more. But I'm not, you know, I don't know the ins and outs of how this connects to the infrastructure, so I could pass it off to the developer to speak more to that.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure that we were mindful of it. And by we, I mean you all, because we're cognizant of it because we live through it every day, just making sure that it is top of mind as you're continuing to develop this project. Thank you.
Yeah, and just to
Yes.
kind of, oh,
Good.
just
Good.
to add on to that a little bit, as part of the development process, we do apply for service to connect to the existing infrastructure. So that is something that we are working with the relevant agencies and providers as we go to ensure that there is capacity and that they also know the kind of upcoming units so that they can plan accordingly for how to manage their capacity and supply service.
Thank you. There is a question for Mr. Edwards in the chat that is asking how home ownership, how this particular home ownership project will prevent gentrification. Is asking
Sure,
how. But I do want
sure.
to piggyback because I do want you to speak to something you spoke to in July. I'm pulling from memory now. You did speak to the appreciation of the property having like a 2% cap rate. Am I remembering that right?
Mm-hmm.
Something along the lines of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's
That it
correct.
doesn't appreciate more than 2% annually, I believe. So that's how it challenges the market. Could you speak to that? And I also like you to speak to the CLT and the voting process and how the cluster voting works amongst the scattered units, just to avoid another question downstream, if you can.
Well,
Thank you.
I'll take two of these. I think that I'll share one of them. But how does it prevent gentrification? There are resale restrictions. For one, when someone wants to sell the shares to their unit, it's capped as to how much of a profit they can make, and it's also capped in terms of the income of the person that would buy the shares. So that's one of the ways to prevent gentrification. And then the other way in which it does that is that because the CLT owns the land underneath all of the buildings, the property can never be sold for market rate. It can't. There have been co-ops where the board or the co-op owns the land and the buildings, and in many of those cases, even though they receive subsidies from the state or the city, they have gone market rate. So the whole point of the split ownership structure is to make sure that the property can never ever go market rate. If the co-op would decide, and I doubt this would ever happen because there's also a monitor that they have to hire that will help them run the co-op with elections and budgeting. If the co-op would ever decide to violate the regulatory agreement and go market rate, if that's a decision that the board makes, then the CLT can immediately step in, and there's drastic actions. We could actually replace the board. There's a couple of things that we could do to make sure that the co-op remains faithful to its mission to provide housing that's permanently affordable to low and moderate resident households. I think the other question you had was about the 2%. We had discussed that. So that's presently what HPD has set as a baseline for annual increases. But I should have mentioned, or one of us could have mentioned, that HPD is actually exploring increasing the percentage by which the carrying charges could be increased. They actually did a series of meetings with stakeholders last year in the spring across the city to find out, and they were looking at different options. All of them were fixed rate, so it's always going to be fixed rate 2%. It's always going to be some sort of fixed rate, and it's always going to be compounding. So HPD looked at a number of scenarios. One was 2%, one was 3%, one I believe was 3.5 and 4. So HPD is aware that the 2% may not keep up with inflation, and it's looking at the possibility of increasing that to something like 3 or 4%. There are discussions internally about that, so they're aware of that issue, and they plan to address it. So it may not always be 2%. That's in short. And I think you had one other question. There was one other one that got, I think you had. Oh,
Speaking to
voting. You asked about
yeah,
voting.
that's correct.
Yeah, but you got right. So it's we're still in the process of figuring out how that will work as a citywide CLT. But as the general outline is that um, all of the home ownership projects on our CLT would be voting across the three boroughs and across housing types. And so each of them we would actually be having elections interborough across boroughs. And we're still sort of working out what that will look like. But that is the plan, and that's in our bylaws, so that shareholders from Constellation, Mosaic, and our developments, we'll have some in the Bronx. They would all be voting, nominating for homeowners to run for the board across the three boroughs. That's how it worked, and so people would campaign. We're still working out the fine details of that, but that is how it would work on a citywide CLT.
Thank you very much. Allison Martinez, your hand is raised.
Just to back on one part of the environmental question, I can't really see in this rendering what the frontage that you have there, what permeable surfaces are you possibly thinking of using, or resources? Just because, yeah, this is a better image. Just because we know in the 90s in this area, some of the homeowners have actually complained about flooding. So just thinking through, like, if we're now going to basically resurface this area, could it be used to help address with some of that runoff?
Yeah, I can speak to that a little bit. We are aware of the potential flooding risk on this site, and there are some regulations that we'll have to comply with in order to address that. And the back of the site will have a large open yard, and so there's quite a bit of opportunity there for infiltration and for dealing with stormwater in the back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm also just thinking about those two properties that are presumably left there, in terms of pitch and what may happen to them, as as a result of construction and potential runoff pitching towards their homes, where they're least likely to be able to manage that impact.
Well, during construction, it's always the contractor's responsibility to make sure that there's no runoff from the site. All the water would be disposed of on site.
And post construction, what happens then?
Same thing. Some stormwater is disposed of in the storm system, and then a certain percentage of it is retained, so that it is disposed of over time. And then as much as possible, if we can, we'll dispose of it by infiltration, in the ground.
And the roof for this building isn't pitched really. I mean, it's not like a pitched roof like that. So there wouldn't be water draining onto the neighboring buildings. Just to underline that.
Thank you. There's two questions. One is, what is the expected date of completion for the project? Should you get the application, I guess, after everything would be seen through? What's the time horizon for the completion date? And is there a residency requirement for the units, and what's the duration of that requirement?
So in terms of project completion, as Sophia mentioned, we're aiming for a completing ULURP and closing on the project in spring to late spring 2026. So as long as that schedule holds, we could expect that this project, the construction could be completed by late 2028, perhaps, with people starting to purchase and move in, hopefully by like the end of 2028, like kind of the early months of 2029. And then in terms of residency requirement, so the CLT doesn't have any residency requirements long-term. You don't have to hold on to your unit. Some of the first-time homebuyer programs that homebuyers might use, like the Sony May programs, they operate as like an evaporating system. So you're able to sell earlier, but over say like 10 years, the amount that you'd have to pay back for that of what you received in that program, it would evaporate on a pro rata basis.
And Rick,
Yeah,
I wanted to add to
I
that.
would.
I wonder if they're referring. I'm sorry, Matt. I was going to say
No,
that
you're
there is a
probably going to
primary
say the same thing.
there is a primary residency
Yeah, it's a
requirement
yeah, sorry.
for the
Yeah.
units.
right. It's owner occupancy, but Rick just did emphasize like in past iterations of some homeownership programs, the subsidy would burn that put into the home would evaporate over time. So there was an incentive for the homeowner to stay in that home for 10 or 15 years. And sometimes, people's lives change. And so the way that this is structured is not that the subsidy evaporates, but that the subsidy stays in the building and in the homes in order to maintain that affordability, so that the homeowner has flexibility, and there's no like particular incentive that they're required to stay in order to try to maximize the subsidy gain over 15 years. So it is an owner occupancy requirement, but it's not you don't have to stay in the home for X number of years. You have the flexibility as a homeowner to sell or not sell.
Right. Yeah. And I just wanted to, just in case they were thinking about it from the other perspective, yes, it has to be your primary residence. It's not an investment property. These are created so that folks that live in the city can benefit, from having a stable, long-term, affordable place to live. I mean, and then, in the offering plan, it'll specify how many days of a year that is. It's something usually like 181 plus days. So it's your primary residence, but you can live, I don't know, a couple of months someplace else. It's all of that is spelled out in the offering plan that the buyers will receive. But it's owner occupied. Exactly right, Matt.
Okay. I think that we covered all of the questions for the evening. I'm pretty certain
Wonderful.
we have. Thank you again for joining us. I'll see you on the 17th. Appreciate you coming tonight. And take care.
All right. Thank
Any
you for
follow-up
having me.
questions, we'll email to the team if we generate any additional questions tonight. Hopefully we can have those answers for the 17th, but thank you again for being thorough, and look forward to meeting with you guys a little bit later. All right.
Wonderful.
Have a good night.
Thank you. You as well.
Yes, thank you so much.
Take care.
Take care.
Okay. So now we want to open the floor for discussion, right? Tumultuous one before we call for a motion, but now the time to open up the floor to discussion internally, to speak with us, with everybody internally, to see how we feel collectively about the project as a whole. And then because we're a large unit tonight, we would have to separate and I guess and vote in our individual blocks, so we could have both the land use committee's recommendation and the housing committee's recommendation, should they have quorum tonight. So I open the floor up for anybody who wants to discuss. Please start by raising your hands, start a discussion, and we'll try to figure out where we stand prior to the vote. Are we good? Yes, Miss Martinez, Hazel, that is.
Good evening. I am quite disappointed with this, even though I like the idea of affordable housing. I don't see where this is affordable for anybody that I know that's looking for housing currently. I mean, it's not going, it's going to open the door. They talk about gentrification. Well, this is perfect. And this is a perfect example of how it's going to happen. And as far as I'm concerned, Housing Connect is an absolute waste of time. I think over the years, I've only known one person to actually get something. And this is out of reach for a lot of people. And it would have been a good opportunity for people with a little less income to get something stable and be able to maintain it.
Understood. Do we have any follow-up input? Anybody? Allison?
I'm gonna say, well, number one, I'm gonna be happy about the fact that it's a home ownership model rather than just the regular rental models that tend to get funded. So I'll be happy about that. The reality is it is over the average income. Like I said, the average income in East Flatbush is about $68,000 a year. So this will definitely in some ways be gentrification through a nonprofit CLT, but it there are people within our community who will be able to meet this. And that's even more reason for us to be working on our hyperlocal CLT and making sure that we're able to partner and find opportunities that meet the needs of the everyday people that we know live here who also deserve a shot at home ownership and affordable housing going forward. So the only thing that I'm a little disappointed about is that fact that I know John Edward. So like we've had conversations before. So for me, it's more the this is where you have like larger citywide CLTs need to do a better job of reaching out to the people who are actually on the ground. I don't know if there was a conversation with NHS before, but NHS and Brook Level Up and these organizations that are on the ground every day in this area should have been involved beforehand so we could provide more input. Yes, we could join the advisory boards, but you want to kind of like at least have these conversations before you even get to this point. But other than that, it's something, and then we can just go forward and start to develop the projects that we know our communities need.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm just taking attendance. Any other input or questions before we? Oh, I'm gonna check the chat. What do we got here?
Yes,
Oh,
good evening.
who's
My
speaking?
name is, hello, my name is Noreen George. I'm using my daughter's phone because
Oh, okay.
it seems to be
Excellent.
I seems to be having a problem with my volume.
Mm-hmm.
So excuse the name coming up.
No
As Ms.
problem.
Martinez said, most of the people in our community will not be able to afford that $87,000 to $90,000 annual income. A CNA, PCT working at a hospital or medical assistant working at a doctor's office who would like to own a home will not be able to afford that. Their salary is basically between 50 to 60,000. And that's, if this is supposed to be for low income, why is the price that high? This is our neighborhood. We would like our people to have a home of their own. But then this is way above. And as Ms. Martinez says, it's just a form of gentrification. Because people who own more, who work for more than this, living in another neighborhood, will be able to purchase within our neighborhood. So that's all, that's how I'm disappointed also.
Thank you. Mr. Tate, you're acknowledged.
Yes, good evening, everyone. And I'm sorry I missed part of it because I was getting knocked up the meeting quite often. However, I I see the value of the project, but I don't know if I missed anything regarding the senior affordability for the seniors, because a lot of the seniors basically are living on Social Security and their pension. And most of the time combined, it doesn't come up to 86,000 on the average. So I agree the starting point is high for our neighbor, but I would like to see more discussion regarding the senior affordability for these homes.
Thank you. Leslie.
I'm sorry, messing around with the
All
mute.
right.
I'm kind of new to understanding all of this. However, my concern is, was this a part of the vote that was done, the yes, the City of New York yes initiative or programming as far as being able to build housing that is out of compliance with the rest of the two-family homes in the area. So you're building up something in the middle of everything that is obstructing view and changing the whole landscape of the neighborhood, and like they've done in many other places. But is this an outgrowth of that yes initiative from the mayor, where they
Not
can
necess-
do,
yeah,
mhm.
not necessarily. Our community board uniquely has underutilized FAR, floor area ratio, on a lot of our properties from redlining a long time ago. A lot of these buildings could have always been built this high. Unfortunately, it's just one of the protections we don't have. This particular one actually could be built as high as it's going to be built now. Unfortunately, on the block that it was on, I think it was an R6, if I remember correctly. It means it could actually go up to
Yeah.
7 stories, which I think is what it is. And that's just from just historical issues. It's not directly related to what we voted on last year for the CHO and the other City of Yes initiatives. It's a long standing issue that our community has just been suffering from for a long time. It's the reason why you see a two-family home disappear and a 4-family, 5-family home come in its place, unfortunately.
Yes, and I also am one of those concerned about the affordability and the fact that I was looking at the AMI being 70% and the maintenance fees alone plus the mortgage, and that would take you well over, the cost for many people. So yeah, that was concerning to me as well.
Thank you. Thank you for your insight and input. Ms. Kwashi, are you there?
Sorry. Good
Yeah.
evening. Nothing has changed over the last 2 years. This is the same old, same old, same old. When we had a meeting with housing, I think it's Senator Prasad came and spoke with us on that wonderful Saturday. And then she talked about the AMI. We will never be able to afford anything in our community, ever. It's not meant for us to afford anything in our community the way the AMI is composed. As long as they take the numbers from other districts like Westchester, we don't make those salaries. Our people don't make those salaries. So how will we be able to afford what they propose? We won't. It's designed that way. So who are we kidding? It is designed for us to move out of our community and go someplace else. So you won't be living there. So once you move out of this community, there is no legacy. So they were very polite, but it's the same story. Wherever you do to put lipstick on a donkey, it's still a donkey, but with lipstick on it. So we are not meant to live there. So they said it very nice in a nice way. They're not going to put any infrastructure there. They're not going to do anything to make it better for us. So if we flood, we flood. But the lights go out, the lights go out. And no one's going to live in those houses until we are all out of this community. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kwashi. Allison, is that just hand raised again? No?
Sorry, that was from before.
Okay. All right. I guess we're gonna, if anyone doesn't have any input, Ms. Kwashi, your hands raised again. Okay. If anyone doesn't have any input, I guess the communication or the conversation session is passed. Dr. Renaud, Chair Renaud, Doctor's better. Dr. Renaud, this voting. How are we going to handle this voting? Do you have something to acknowledge your members and your membership? And could we call for a motion, I guess, for your committee members to vote? Like, how would we traditionally do this
I think
to
this
make
is
it
going to
official?
have to be, thanks, Chair Frey. I think it's going to have to be a combined voting. And I'm
Okay.
sitting here and I really have nothing to say because I mean, I literally, I'm in agreement with a lot of what I'm hearing. And all I can say is what's the alternative, right? The alternative is to, I think the city has found a new way to use Habitat and CLTs instead of using private developers. So it's just being packaged a little differently. But just to get back to your question, do we need, I mean, we have people here, so we need a vote, right? But I'm wondering if we can get input from NHS, FDC, somewhere else as well, and tie it in so that when we go back to them, we have a more well-rounded picture from all the community stakeholders, in addition to everyone who's on here. Because I sit on NHS's board, and a big part of this has to do with marketing. This is not reaching our people. Yes, you can combine Sonome with HPD, but that AMI is a showstopper. We're not getting anywhere because of the AMI, right? So back to your question again, I think it's going to have to be combined. I don't know if ADM Farah is still here. I might not have quorum. I saw at the height we had 41 people on here. We currently have 29. Our membership, our attendance is usually around 18 to 20. And I know you get much more on the land use as well. So we might not have quorum. So I would suggest a combined vote. And I would also suggest getting input from other community stakeholders as well as to why this is not reaching our people.
Yes, absolutely. There's definitely some understanding in that. And the only issue with the timing and taking input from everyone else is when the application was filed. I mentioned it in the beginning.
And we're running out of time, right?
Yeah, it's the reason why we called for that emergency meeting in the summer that everyone didn't like me for, was to try to get visibility and get the conversation at least started so that it was out there. Unfortunately for us, because of the new rules that started 2 years ago, we have that 60-day window.
Right.
And it ends on October 6th. So we can always add and color to whatever we need prior to October 6th, once we get permission, or should we get permission at the general board, I would think. But conclusively, we do need to decide as a committee and have that recommendation ready for the general board on the 17th. I'm hoping that anyone here tonight, once we live with that information at said meeting, we can ask maybe those additional questions, or anything that didn't get answered tonight gets answered then. But ultimately, I think that we do need to have our recommendation, good, bad, or indifferent. We need to have it ready for the 17th. It's unfortunate. Usually we have a lot more time, 2
Right.
cycles, but
Right.
because of the timing of when the application was filed, we're kind of in a position where we need to move or have no opinion on the project.
And I think we also need to always need to do something. Our voice has to be heard, definitely. When I try to vote on these things, to me, it's definitely going to have to be a joint voting. We literally have to just say, does it benefit our community in any way, shape, or form? If we do nothing, who's losing, who's winning, right? And we know the answer. I'm just asking rhetorical questions. But my suggestion would be a joint vote, and definitely to get other input, even if it's after the fact, because I looked at the ULER process again with the players. We definitely still, but again, just to wrap it up here, I just think we need a joint voting or something.
Okay. Okay. Are we concluded with the conversational piece? And if so, can
No,
somebody make a
I,
motion? Who we got? Who's that? Okay, sorry, I
Allison,
didn't see your hand.
Marcy,
I didn't
sorry.
see your hand. Sorry.
Two
Yes.
things. One, I think because the CLT structure has like a board for it's a tripartite board. So there's a board portion that is for community. One of the requests should be that there, the CB17 had like maybe ask for like a permanent seat so that you can put someone from the board on that portion of the CLT board to represent the community's interests on this property. Another thought is because essentially this will be a strategy that I can see going forward that will basically handcuff community boards going forward, this 60-day window, going to your council member and talking to them about amending that law, because I would strategize and put every project I have right in the middle of the summer, because I know the community board's not meeting, and that means they're going to be forced to quickly go through things without going back to community members in that first September meeting. So there needs to be some process or adjustment on that, or a pause of some sort. Otherwise, the most onerous, horrible projects may be strategically planned for putting out for filing then. So that may be something to think about as a long-term conversation. And then if you wanted to separate, I don't know WebEx that well compared to Zoom, but if there is like a break room feature, then you could separate and have your board, your committees vote in break rooms.
Yeah, I don't have the option to do that. Only Notion would know.
We do have
another.
to do break rooms, but I would need to know in advance who's coming in as like.
Who's
Break
what?
rooms, you mean like based on committee? So housing committee in one break room and land use in
Yes,
another?
so that they can
Then I
go
would.
into their respective rooms and vote.
So what about the committee members who are part of both?
Both. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure there's a workaround to this. I mean, but we can workshop it and talk about it offline and come to a conclusive plan next time something like this comes around.
Okay. All right. So I think we got that on. Someone in the chat. Can you assign members to break rooms? This is a question from Mr. Dawes, Dr. Dawes.
I believe
I'm not
so.
sure.
If I have the list ahead of time, that is something like next time we have a meeting, you guys, like amongst the chairs, you can decide how the rooms are going to be broken up. I mean, if they're in the same committee, where they go. And then once I have that finalized list, I can assign who goes to where. So as long as I have that coordinated ahead of schedule, I can have that done for you guys.
Sure. Yeah. All right. Same hand, Ellison. Making sure. Different hand.
Same hand, sorry.
All right. All right. Let's call for a motion. Can somebody call for a motion under the parameters of what we need for this constellation project for a vote? Anyone?
What are you trying to accomplish in this motion?
The motion is to have I guess, are we for or are we against? Are we supporting or are we rejecting the proposal for the Constellation project for CB17 pertaining specifically to the 12 units that are within our district at the proposed property based off of the information we've received tonight?
I make a motion to vote on whether we will go forward or not, or we approve it or not. I don't know how to word it.
Okay. I'll give it a go. I just need to get the address.
The address is
I know I see it. 395 East
340.
94th
Yeah.
Street.
Yeah.
I move for the land use and housing and block association committees to vote tonight whether, no, because we're voting. I move for the committees present to approve based on insights and information and presentation provided tonight regarding the 12 residential units being sought by HPD at 395 East 94th Street in the East Flatbush neighborhood of Brooklyn Community District 17.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All right. Usually we'd have to still open up the floor for discussion, but we've done that already. So are we good to move on to the vote? Nobody has any additional input or insights? I'll go for a roll call and I'll go by person that I see on the list. There are two people on the phone that I'm not familiar with who you are, but I will call you and I guess identify you by the last two digits of your phone number, and you could identify your name at that point and tell me where you stand. Miss Bennett,
Yes.
your hand is raised? Okay.
I can speak.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, before we do this vote, I would like to check that property history, because as I said, I'm a member of the Parks Committee. I've been there. It's, I believe, an old defunct or forgotten park. It even have park benches in there. And no one's discussing it. You're
What's
voting
the
something
address?
away we may need.
What's the address for the property? Somebody have it?
It's that lot. It's the same lot they're talking about.
395, 397.
East
That's it.
94th Street.
Yeah, it's right next to the junior high school. It's in the back of it on East 94th Street. It's overgrown, but it needs to be checked.
Yeah, you can see that it's a park, and then there's also a park next to it. Or
That's
some kind
correct.
of
It's
schoolyard.
abandoned, it's defunct, and I think it's forgotten about. But it's, yes, she Googled it, it's still a park.
It's
It needs to
technically,
be
it is called
investigated.
the neighborhood mini park, but it is owned by
Yes.
HPD.
Now, but it, like I said, I don't know how it ended up in their hands.
I'm
I
looking
believe
at
it
the
was forgotten.
history.
It was
Looking at the
forgotten about.
history on one address. It's been New York City, 1983. It was in the possession of one person in 1976, but as of 1983, it's been owned by the city. That's the lease 95.
Yeah, but
So I'm
it's
gonna look at
bad.
90.
They even got benches there. I like to know how it ended up in their hands.
I can see it looks like there's somebody just sold it to them, to be honest. Or they probably acquired it through a yeah, it's not really listing the sale per se. It's not saying that. It's just saying, yeah, vacate order. Vacate order.
There's nothing there. There's just a bench.
Vacate order. Yeah.
There's benches. What's the vacate?
Yeah.
They did the process to acquire
Same owner.
the acquisition legal. That's what I've yet to find out. We can't vote
Same owner.
on something.
Same owner of those lots. We could definitely vote on it if that's your opinion on the lot and that's what you're doing. You could definitely utilize that strong stance by voting no. But we definitely need to vote on it because a non-vote, which means that you have a non-represented application for this community board, right? And it would be irresponsible of us to not vote. Did you feel with the information that you have? I'm looking at a deed now.
How far back do you go? Because that's old.
It's a deed. It's from 1976. It's one page. It's actually
Gotta go back
56
further than
pages.
that. I
It's
went to
56
that school.
pages. Yeah, it's 56 pages. Seemed like one person. He had a lot of properties, honestly, and it was a part of a package of properties because it's like 56 pages of blocks and lots in this docket.
How to get in there, I don't know.
To having a whole
Don't
presentation.
much. It would be good to maybe Our secretary can look up the history.
And I'll share this on the screen while we conduct this. But yes, um, I'll share this. But I do think we need to vote. Whatever information you have at this time, you do need to have a position. How that position and how that vote is influenced is yours solely. You know,
Mhm.
it's your right as a committee member
Yes.
to have that.
Yes.
Nobody's
Yes.
denying that. So
Chair, can I ask a
We
question?
knew.
sure.
Chair, yeah. If we say we all voted no, or the majority of us vote no, could that be the reason why we vote no? Because we're questioning that whole deed and whether it's a park or how it was obtained, and I mean, can that be the
Yes.
reason?
Obtained.
I'm pretty sure it was legally obtained based off of what I'm looking now. You can vote no, and that could be the basis. It won't be everybody's basis. You would have to pass. You have to make a motion for that to be the registered reason for the no vote. I would think, right? You are voting yes or no to something.
Yeah, but
Your yes and
that's
your
what I
yes,
can
but
make a motion
sure,
then.
but that opinion
You
is
should
your
check.
opinion and not the opinion of the
And
actual
that
overall
opinion,
group.
if you look at it, you see it's a park. It is a park, but
Yeah, but
how it
then
was obtained, we don't know how it was obtained. We just don't know.
Adele, wait a minute. My question is like, if we all voted no, or even if we have varied reasons, we have to present a reason why we're voting no, right? So what would, or do we not have to present a reason?
No.
You can
Do we
color
just,
you can color that response if you want. If you could have a colored response, but everybody would have to agree to that response. Is what I'm saying.
right?
Yeah,
No.
one person's thing isn't everybody's thing. I
No, I
cannot vote
know that.
for it because
Right.
I don't
I
like
have
the
a
CLT.
question.
Some person else cannot
Yeah,
vote
I
for
know.
it
No, my,
because
my question is,
Why
if
would
we
you
all
vote?
voted no, do we have to present them with a reason?
No.
Whatever the reason is, do we have to present them with a reason, or do we just say, we can just say no as a unit and that's it?
for the community board, they would probably want a reason to color the no. I would think, right? You're making a decision that's being presented to them as your represented opinion, and they're going to take that opinion and decide what they're going to ultimately move forward with. So if that opinion is colored with things,
Well,
you
Chair
know,
Friend, I did
if
mention it when they had questions and answers, and they said they will investigate it. And they themselves aren't 100% sure. They didn't know because I stated I'm a member of that Parks Committee. I've been there maybe 3 years ago.
I'm not disputing the fact. I don't know that factually.
No.
I'm not trying to be that person.
Yes.
So could it be a park? I don't know the property. I haven't been there. Was it a
I
park? Is it a park? I mean, yes, no, whatever the case may be.
Nobody knows. But how it
Nobody
was
knows.
obtained. That's what I want to know because this city, a lot of funny business goes on in this city. And it's been going on for years. How that property was obtained is the legality of it is the issue.
Okay. And I'm not trying to dismiss what you're saying, but
Mm-hmm.
when we're speaking about this vote now, how is that pertaining to how we're voting now? Are you
Well,
saying it as a
I'm gonna
statement
have
of
to say,
fact?
I'm gonna vote. Are you taking a vote now?
We were trying to take a vote and we stopped to acknowledge this. So this
Yes.
is,
I appreciate it.
I asked if there was additional questions or statements, and you
No,
made one.
not too many other people know about it.
Foreclosure or tax lien sales, it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
That's what
They
it
would have to
appears
go
to
back.
be.
They would have to go back further than that to see how it became a non-park. Because it
That I
probably was a
can't.
park in the, probably the, there's probably a park in the 40s trustees and how to become how to get categorized as how to get in that category of being a non-park and sold off.
I don't know that information. You would have to provide that information to the group. You're asking a
I have to
question
look
that
that up.
you have the answers to. I
I didn't know
don't
this
know
was
that it's
gonna
a part.
come up. I didn't know we're gonna vote today. Okay.
Yeah, we have to vote today. A vote needs to be made today, or you could choose not to vote. That's also something you could do. And you can leave it for the board to make the decision, you know? But ultimately, I think it would be behooving to us to vote in whatever form with the information you have. You know, that's our responsibility. You have enough, not to say that we have enough information, but we have
That's
enough
correct.
information to form an opinion. And your opinion, depending on how the justice scales weigh for you, will be how your vote sways.
It's for the community.
It's
We're supposed to be voting
but
for the
in this
benefit of the
aspect, it's for
community.
you as your voting power is what I'm speaking
Yeah.
about. Of course,
But
collectively, we're speaking
overall,
as a community.
we're supposed to vote on behalf of our community, not on
That is
one
understood. No,
individuals push a
nobody's
private
disputing
bill.
that. Nobody's disputing that. I'm speaking about the nature of tonight's vote as a collective.
Well, we can
Ms. Scott,
quickly kill
Ms. Sil-
somebody, and we can't resurrect them once it's done.
Ms. Silcott, Ms. Quashi, somebody?
I have to leave at 9:30, so we can vote now. I would be greatly appreciative. Thank you.
I'm abstaining.
Motion was moved and properly seconded, right? I'm gonna go down the list individually, name by name, from top to bottom. I'm
Could
gonna
I
ask that.
please? I was muted. I didn't realize that. Oh, this is Miss Silcott.
Yes, Ms. Silcott.
Later, I didn't get the beginning of the presentation, but I heard the discussion. A yes vote to the motion would indicate what?
That you support them building a section of their constellation development, which would create 12 co-op units in Community Board 17. You support that URLIP application.
Okay.
That's that will quantify your yes vote.
I don't understand it, but and I understand the discussion. And I don't think we're gonna get anywhere with it tonight, whether we vote the yes or the no or whatever. I think they're just gonna do what they do. But it's good to know that 12 units are set aside for Community Board 17. Yes, it is out of our reach. That the level there is not. But at least if it's in our community board, so be it in our community board. So I vote yes. My vote is yes.
Sorry. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll go down the line and vote a yes. Miss Bennett, Adele.
Abstain.
Okay. So yes. AB. Then we have Allison,
Yes. Conditions.
Audrey,
Yes, with conditions too.
all right. So we got to be clear about the conditions.
The condition is with lowering the AMI to increase affordability.
Well, then that's not something that's on the table right now, right? Like, I need you to. We are voting for the proposal as it is.
Okay.
So your conditions, right? If it's a modification of something that can't be achieved or changed today, you are voting on the application as it was presented to you.
Okay.
Now,
Yes.
conditions, yeah. Like I need to be clear because I don't want to allow for gray and people to be disappointed.
Okay.
Right? You can't go in front of the doctor and he goes, "All right, you want to take my kidney out? Oh, no, just take a little peek." No, he's taking the whole thing, or he's keeping it. All right. Sorry.
No,
Sorry to be the lawyer.
no, I will correct that because I had a
Yeah.
surgery on my kidney, and it was with the
Oh, no. I picked the right
information.
organ. Sorry.
I know it
Sorry
was
about
with
that.
the thing is the kidney would be
All right.
taken if when they go inside and discover
Yeah.
that the tumor
It was
was more
cancer.
than what they
That's
think. Yes. So
correct.
there is conditions when you agree to something.
You're right. You win that battle. Thank you.
Okay, so yes, I'll go yes.
I got you. Bree,
I'm voting yes. I'm gonna keep it simple.
thank you. Dr. Renaud,
Couldn't unmute fast enough. I vote yes.
all right. Dr. Dawes, Dale Dawes, all right, I'm assuming. Can't hear him? Anybody can hear him? All right, we'll move on. Dika Johnson,
I would say lowering the AMI. So on that, I would say no, if you say it's a whole picture.
thank you. Eduardo is it Cameron? Cameroon? Sorry. Eddie? No? No vote. Then we got Gabriel Holmes.
Abstain.
Okay. Hazel Martinez.
No.
I'm sorry.
No. No.
Thank you. Armenia Brown. Ms. Brown. Come back. Joan Bacherdine.
Yes.
George Tate.
Yes.
Kim. Who's Kim? Is it Kim S? Right.
Yes, it's Kim
Okay.
Shelley. Hi. Uh, can you come back to me? No, just kidding. Yes.
All right. Lonnie L. Or Leonie L. Sorry.
Leonie Logan, and it's yes.
Thank you very much, Ms. Logan. Leslie.
I'm going to regrettably go with yes, but I think it's something that we have to do to look back. If a property is designated as a park, how did it get to where it is now? And we cannot allow that to occur again, because this is what happens in this city, and I am very well aware of that.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, you have 2 votes in the chat.
Ms. Robinson is one of them, I'm sure. I saw that one. She's a yes, right?
Yes, and Mr. Dawes, or Dr. Dawes.
Was a yes also or no? Sorry. I guess.
Well, his is a no.
It's a no.
No. Okay. And now we have Ms. Viglianti.
No.
Okay. Noreen George.
I'll vote yes, but with a little bit further investigation as per the previous caller. How could a park be converted into the housing development? I'll go with yes.
Thank you. Sonia Clark. Sorry, Ms.
Yes.
Quasha, you were the last one. You were the last one. You know what? That's on me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I just have 2 questions. What are the qualifications to vote? Because I am very new coming on this listening in this evening. It's the first time for me, so I want to find out what are the qualifications to vote.
Are you a member?
I'm a member.
Let me get Ms. Quashi's vote to release her because she has a late night, and then I'll double back to you. All right?
Sure.
Ms. Quashi?
No.
Very good. The qualification is that you need to be a member of the Land Use or the Housing Block Association Committee for this joint venture that we're doing tonight. You just need to be a member of each one.
You have to be, okay, because I know I just
Or
became
one or
part
the
of the
other.
block office.
One or the other.
Okay,
Yeah.
I think
One or the other.
I just became a member of the block association. So does that qualify me to vote?
That does.
Okay,
It does. All right.
all
Hold
right.
on 1 second.
So sure.
So, right, so it looks like the motion passes with 13 yeses, 4 noes, and 2 abstentions. And we do have a non-vote, 1 non-vote, I
Excuse me.
guess.
Excuse me. This is Gina
Yes.
Watson. I had to call
Oh,
in,
okay. No problem, Ms.
and I
Watson.
think
Thank
you
you
were
for,
gonna.
yeah, you have a vote? You're part of my committee. Sorry, I couldn't recognize the number. I forgot. Your position is?
I'm voting no.
No. Okay. And there was another number, right? You was a 9-6. There was a number ending in 00. Can that person communicate? They don't have a microphone next to their name. So yeah, so that changes the vote from 13 yeses, 5 noes, and 2 abstentions. So the motion passes to support the application that's been presented to us tonight. In the nature of time, all right, executive meetings on Monday. I'll present that to them. We'll address it again on September 17th. I would say for anyone who's a board member or adjacent, someone who knows one, if you have any developing questions from then to now, once we get into the informational session at that meeting, we could probably prompt to ask those additional questions from then. If not, you can email me at landuse@cb17.org, and I'll forward your questions once I get the collective of them to the actual team that we spoke to tonight so that they can generate responses, and I'll try to get it distributed before the meeting's time. Thank you for everybody. Dr. Renaud, you have anything to say before we close out?
I have a question. Sorry.
Miss Martinez, and I saw Miss
Before-
Baharuddin.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Hands? I'm missing hands?
Hands
Oh
are
man,
raised.
a lot of hands just popped up. All right.
So
Allison,
the
I'll go with, yeah.
2 questions I had. One,
Sure.
well, not one is a question and one is a statement. The question is,
Okay.
can you actually forward to them a question about whether or not CB17, according to the rules that they've set up for the CLT, have a permanent seat on that advisory board?
Yeah.
Or on, so that needs to be determined.
Can you
And
email me
then,
that? You don't mind?
okay.
Yeah.
And the
I know
other
you
thing
will.
is,
Or text me.
I will.
Yeah.
I'll text you. And then
Yeah.
the statement is, that property is not a park. It is what happens is when HPD owns properties like that, sometimes they allow other uses to be put forward and done now as they wait for what is always in their goal, which is to find a housing opportunity for the properties in their portfolio. That's how you have some of the community gardens that then people get upset about because they end up being turned into affordable housing properties because they're just in a holding pattern. And this is one of the uses that they allow until they get a project that they want. So that's why we have to, CLTs can be used to take some of these properties out of those hands to be able to meet some of these other needs like open space that we know we also need. But HPD, their goal is always housing. And so they have these properties in flux until the opportunity comes up. That's my comment.
Thank you. Very thorough. Ms. Bakradine? There were some other hands, right? Yeah, okay.
Thank you for acknowledging my hand. As it pertains to the meeting minutes, though we did not approve them, I did want to call out that I was not listed as an attendee, though I did make a motion to adjourn. So I wanted to make sure that was adjusted.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we won't vote until next month because it was a joint one. So I didn't want to complicate the situation. But we'll correct that at October's meeting. But I took note of it. Your attendance, yes? Okay. Ms. Bennett,
Yes, what I'm going to do between now and that meeting, the board meeting, is to see if I can get into the archives for that property, to go back as far as I can to find out the history of it.
No problem.
HPD have acquired it, but that's only recently. 70s, I'm over in the 70s. So I'm going to go back further and find out how it became Mountain Park and how it got into their hands. That's
No
all I'm
problem.
saying.
If you get that information, you share it with me. I'll distribute it with the group. I have no issue distributing any documentation or any document you find that supports that. And we'll share it with the group and we'll share it with the board members. Fair enough?
That's fair.
Very nice. Motion. You know what time it is. Motion to adjourn. Does somebody make a motion?
Joan Aquardine moves to adjourn the meeting at 9:45 p.m.
Do we have a
I
second?
second the
Second
motion.
that motion.
Motion
We
been
all
moved and
seconded.
properties. Yeah, there's a multiple seconds, I see, and a third and a fourth. Thank you,
Here's
everybody, for
another
joining
one.
us tonight. The meeting is adjourned. Forward any questions you have to me, either by text, via text, email, the group chat. I will consolidate them and try to get them out by early next week, which gives them a week to review. And then the subsequent week, hopefully we have those answers back prior to the meeting. And if we need to change our opinions, we'll have it distributed, hopefully with a reminder for the general board meeting when it goes out, along with the presentation and the slide deck we have. Theirs was more updated than the one I distributed. So I'm going to try to attain that as well. So you can have that in our packages. And thank you. Land use committee members, have a good night. Housing committee members, have a good night. Thank you, Chair Renaud, for joining us. And we got a month off, but we got to get back to business in October.
Right.
Yeah, we got a few things to discuss.
We have a lot of
Con
work to
Edison.
do.
Yeah, we got Con Edison. We got a couple of things that's on the docket that we need to. And Shirley Chisholm should be coming up also. We got to discuss what the ramifications of that. And so thank you guys. Have a good night.
Take care,
Take care.
Good
everyone.
night, everyone.
Good night,
Kwame, can I
everyone.
ask you something real quick?
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Someone said they had something real quick.
Did they? Somebody? Did I miss them?
I kind of heard a voice that said they had something real quick. Is that Miss Johnson?
No, I'm trying to close. No, I don't have anything. Somebody else said it.
Okay.
Take care, everyone. Hopefully they send it in.
Yeah. Good night.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Notion?
Yes,
Yeah,
I am still here.
Thank you.
Are you still awake?
Yeah. Yeah, I got it. We're good. If we could just, I'll email you in the morning. I want to just request the new slide deck. And I want to make sure when we do we'll discuss it at the executive meeting, but probably before the executive meeting on Monday, I'd like to have that updated slide deck.
Did
as
they
a part
send
of
that?
it.
It's different than the one that you told me to
Yeah,
disperse.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's because the one we had was the pre-ULUP and the one they had is the ULUP. So theirs actually showed what the actual amounts for the rents were, whereas the one we had in July for our emergency meeting didn't have that information, which colored it a lot better. It just had the income. But this is actually showing the price because they probably worked it out. The actual prices for a 1-bedroom plus maintenance, which was good in forming an opinion tonight because it actually showed you what they thought affordability was. So if I forget, request for them to share that slide deck with us.
Yeah, and I
For
can.
Monday.
Okay. And we'll have it sent to the executive. I think the executive meeting is next Monday. So
Yeah.
I'll have Ms. Frazier send it in with a reminder. But
Thank you.
you have a good one, Chair. You want me to
Same.
close the meeting for everyone else, or do you want to keep it open?
Yeah. No, we can close it.
All right.
Thank you.